The Bears are better than people think, and they were last year.
We jumped the gun. We were a little bit too positive, maybe a lot of bit too positive on the 2024 Bears.
Ben Johnson chose his horse, and he is riding it.
Yeah, Caleb Williams was very sloppy last night.
And then you've got the Bears.
The Chicago Bears.
The Bears! The Bears! The Chicago Bears!
Bears, the Chicago Bears.
The Bears. You're not as high on the Bears as you should be. I know. This has been the talk about this team for what feels like years at this point. I could see how if you're a fan being a little bit skeptical, and even if you're not, I could see how hearing about this team constantly, people constantly telling you that this is the time they're going to turn it around, is a little bit exhausting. Last year with Caleb Williams, a couple years ago with their really good defense, they always seem to be talked about like they're finally going to get over the hump, and then they just eventually fall flat. So believe me, I understand your skepticism, but brace yourselves. I believe we're looking at a team that's insane and a lot better than even the most optimistic fans can think of.
You have a message here for the players. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Southern skies. Have you ever noticed southern skies? Well, it's precious beauty. Just beyond the eye it goes, running through your soul like the stories told of old. Old man, he and his dog that walked the old land.
When the Bears drafted Caleb Williams with the first overall pick last year, a lot of us were rightfully excited about that team. He was the best quarterback prospect we'd seen in years. Their defense was seemingly improving into becoming one of the best in the league, and they had a brand-spanking new offensive play caller. There was a lot of optimism for a team that, needless to say, didn't perform well. And now, going into Caleb's second year, there's one big change. This guy, Ben Johnson. Possibly the best play-calling candidate of all time. Certainly the best play-calling head coaching candidate since Sean McVay or Andy Reid or maybe Sean Payton a couple years ago. I mean, the guy revived the career of Jared Goff, somebody who was largely responsible for the fact that the Rams couldn't get over the hump, somebody whose confidence was completely shot after being traded, somebody who had the worst year of his career in his first year as a Detroit Lion. He turned that guy into a perennial Pro Bowler, somebody people think is like a top 5 quarterback in the league, and somebody who was leading some of the most dominant offenses of the 2020s. He helped turn the Detroit Lions, like a laughing stock of the NFL, one of the worst NFL teams of all times, into a team that can say that they have a stretch where they have some of the most dominant offenses of all time. Over the past 3 seasons, the Lions have finished as a top 10 scoring offense, finishing at the top of that list this past year. Not only has he created one of the most dominant offenses ever, he's also created one of the most innovative and creative offenses ever. With play call layering, 12 personnel, creativity in terms of player use, I mean, there's not much that we've seen quite like a Ben Johnson offense. Not many offenses that are asking your all-pro caliber tackles to go out and catch passes, or asking some of your receivers to consistently air the ball out, or consistently asking quarterbacks to do crazy things like fake stumble in the backfield so you can get a wide open touchdown. The Lions offense, even in its most vanilla form, like forget all the trick plays and all the ridiculous things they do, is a night and day difference from what the Bears have been running really over the past couple of years, especially last year with Shane Waldron. It's an offense that felt lifeless, stale, predictable. It's an offense that didn't really put too much thought into keeping defenses on their toes or layering play calling. So when you get a guy like that, and you pair him with one of the greatest quarterback prospects of all time, am I stupid here? I feel like you should be getting excited, especially when you consider all the things that Ben Johnson can help bring out of Caleb. See, while Caleb was the best quarterback prospect in a while and taken first overall for a reason, he wasn't exactly the best in his rookie season. Now, he wasn't terrible. He took care of the football, and he certainly did what he could considering the circumstances, but he definitely didn't light up the stat sheet or fill up highlight reels quite like some of his other rookie counterparts did. And a big part of that was Caleb's lack of prowess, we'll put it, while playing from the pocket in structure. Now, I'm not denying a lot of this was a play calling issue, but Caleb was noticeably better when playing out of structure outside the pocket than from within. That's a section of the game Ben Johnson has spoken about at length this offseason. He's coming from an offense in Detroit that had Goff playing quick and in structure, really because he had to. I mean, Goff had one of the lowest time to throws in the league last season, ranking 19th with 2.79 seconds. Caleb, on the other hand, ranked 7th in the league with a 2.92 second time to throw. Now, 0.2 seconds doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when you stretch that over a large sample size throughout an entire season, you're looking at a guy that was having his struggles playing in rhythm and playing on time. And in the preseason so far, it looks completely different. Caleb is getting it out so much quicker, reaching the top of his drops and hitting concepts. He doesn't look too overwhelmed. He's much more efficient in this short time. He looks more comfortable. He's on time. He's on target. These are good things to be. And these are all things Caleb and the Bears offense last season weren't. And it's in large part, along with the poor offensive line play, why they failed. And Ben Johnson is the perfect cure for both of those things, really. Now, I didn't bring you here just to talk about the pairing of Caleb and Ben. People have probably talked your ear off about how perfect of a marriage this has been all offseason. We get it. These two are the future. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever, right? What I believe really is the biggest difference between last year's Bears and what it looks like to be this year's Bears during the preseason is the culture. It's culture building that, to me, Chicago needed the most. Players looked out of it for the majority of the season. I mean, DJ Moore was walking off the field in the middle of plays. They changed their offensive coordinator multiple times. They just gave off the impression of an unorganized football team. Everyone likes to think of Ben Johnson as the scheme guru type, the X's and O's, Mike McDaniel kind of coach. And don't get me wrong, he absolutely does have that skill. I'm not taking that away from him. But what I think he learned from his time in Detroit that people aren't giving him enough credit for is the value of building a culture. Anybody can master the schematic side of football with enough hours and studying and hard work put in. I really think anybody can become a scheme guru. What some coaches just don't have that touch with is personability, right? If you don't have the locker room of a football team, if you don't have these collective of guys buying into what you have to say, you're just not going to have a good football team. Getting people to buy in is the most overlooked part of team building. If you've ever played youth sports, specifically like high school, you'll know that the best youth coaches usually aren't the scheme gurus, right? They aren't calling all the right plays. Most teams at that level are calling pretty much the same plays. The best coaches are the ones who are speaking to the kids, connecting with the kids, and getting those kids to buy in not only to themselves, but to the team as well. See, a lot of people like to act like this Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson pairing was a one-way street. Dan Campbell was this culture guy, and he needed somebody to call plays, and Ben Johnson was that guy. He was brilliant for him. I already talked up the Lions. I'm not going to keep doing it. But I think Ben Johnson learned a lot from Dan Campbell in terms of that culture building. We can talk up the scheme and the players all we want, but that's in large part the reason why the Lions really turned it around. From the way Johnson talks in interviews, from the way it looks like out of reports from camps, it looks like Ben gets that. It looks like he's particularly tough on his players. It's a toughness that comes from belief in your players, belief in your coaches, belief in your personnel. It's a toughness Dan Campbell has mastered, and it's a toughness that translates to Sundays. There's no greater example of this to me than Mizzou's Luther Burden, their second-round pick. If you remember a couple of weeks back, there was a story that broke out of camp about Burden messing up in a drill and Ben Johnson letting the dude hear it, chewing his ear off. It doesn't usually happen in the NFL, but from time to time it does, especially with younger players. It's Burden's response to that really gets me to buy into what Ben Johnson is building. See, in the podium after that practice, he got up there and spoke about how he respected Ben Johnson for holding him to that high standard, how he respected him for being tough, for holding him accountable. And it translated on the field. Burden looks tough. He's playing fast, playing hard. But the most intriguing part to me is plays like this. It's so simple, just a small insert block from a slot receiver, similar to how Amon-Ra St. Brown lived in Detroit. Yet it tells me so much about the hold and the impact Ben Johnson has on these Bears. If you know anything about Luther Burden's college career, one of the things you'll know is, well, he wasn't exactly a goody two-shoes. There were some allegations that he was a cancer and that he didn't like being at Mizzou, that he was lazy, and that he wouldn't take accountability. Who knows about the legitimacy of these claims, and at the end of the day, I'm not here to comment on his Mizzou off-the-field issues, but if there is one thing I know about Luther Burden from watching his film, that dude hated to block. He was awful at it. He looked like he didn't want to do it. I mean, do you know how bad at blocking as a receiver you have to be for it to show up on scouting reports? Horrible. So for me, to go from that when scouting him pre-draft to hearing him take accountability in pressers and watching him block in the trenches as a receiver, that kind of stuff encourages me a hell lot more than anything else. If he wants to play that Amon-Ra St. Brown role in this Bears offense, he's going to have to block to do that because he's not going to get the ball if he doesn't. That's been Johnson's thing. No block, no rock. We've all heard it before. But here's the thing. anybody can say that. I can go out there and tell a bunch of guys, if you're not going to block, you're not going to get the ball. It takes a special type of character to get the guys to actually believe that and then actually translate to Sundays on the field. And from the looks of it, Ben has that. That's what makes me optimistic about his longevity in the NFL as a head coach. He's got Luther Burden locked in, he's got Caleb Williams locked in, and fuck, he has the whole Bears team locked in. Oh yeah, and then there's the scheme. Specifically the 12 personnel. I think it's the future of the league. Its usage has steadily risen over the last few years. All the best teams love to use it. All the electric offenses that you don't really think of too much love 12 personnel. Think the Cardinals, the Commanders. That 12 personnel usage is a huge reason why the Lions offense was unpredictable practically the entire season. And the Bears just so happened to take a tight end with a top pick. They extended another one not too long ago. I'm expecting a continuation of that philosophy. Oh, and that top pick at tight end they used, he looks pretty damn good. He has an insane catch radius, man. He's going to be such a reliable target for Caleb in this offense. Like year one, which never happens for tight ends, but I think it happens here. If you're a fantasy guy, I don't know what like his value and ADP are, and even if it's a great pick on the surface, but that's a guy that I'm going to target in the majority of my leagues as a casual this season. Sam Laporta did great in his rookie season with Ben Johnson, and I think Colston Loveland is the next to do it too. The looks they're going to throw at teams are going to be impeccable. You're never going to know if they're going to run or pass. You're never going to know what concept is coming. They're going to be downright fun to watch. And they're pairing that with a really damn good defense, with a good secondary and a good couple of pass rushers. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this team made a deep playoff run. And that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. A few reminders before I do head out. I do have a Twitter. It's just my full name, Taggart Ken. If you want to hear more from me or you want to interact with me, that's the place to be. And if you want shorter, smaller, quicker breakdowns, TikTok is the place to be. Specifically, film breakdowns. Again, full name, both of those platforms. I recommend checking it out. I know it's been a while, sorry about that delay. I've been moving, I haven't really had a ton of video ideas, and then I've been working over the last couple weeks. This video was supposed to come out last week. I did hit 1,000 subscribers off of my last video, so thank you guys for that. Appreciate all the love you've been showing, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bear down, baby.